Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Seaweed Brain, a, for the time being, Kane Chronicles podcast. We are in the middle of our read-through of The Red Pyramid, the first book in the Kane Chronicles trilogy, and we have a very exciting episode for today. We have the Metropolitan Museum of Art. We have long lessons into Egyptian history. We have a very special, well-branded special guest who has an appearance in a legendary Disney Plus property. Stick around.
Before we get started today, we want to shout out our sustaining patrons, as always, Olympus Weekly, Izzy A, James, Justin, and Dayton. If you want to join our Patreon, you can visit patreon.com/seaweedbrain. We just released our monthly special episode. It's a whole conversation on the Acolyte. We'll see you there. Hello, everyone. I'm Erica, joined as always by my co-host Carter. Hello, Carter.
Hi.
And today, it is true, we are joined by legendary icon of the Percy Jackson cinematic universe, Robert from the Damn Meme Page, coming to you live from the Duat. What's up, Robert?
Hello. I keep wanting to make the joke. I'm like, oh, I'm not that big of a deal anymore, but I can't make that joke anymore. Becky follows me on Twitter.
Hey!
Notoriety.
Yay.
I've gotten too big for my britches. People will see the Detective Pikachu hat. Pokemon's just gonna sue me. They're gonna be like, hey, you're using our branding for something else. And I'm like, please don't sue me. I have $3.
I literally don't think that they will. I think there's so many people who are able to use the Pokemon branding because they need it at this point. They need to remain fresh as a brand. Literally, the current reigning RuPaul's Drag Race queen is named after a Pokemon, and they let her do that. Isn't that wild? Nintendo authorized that.
Yeah, so Robert, you're safe.
Great. But yes, hello, hi. Thank you for having me here again. I have not been on a Seaweed Brain episode since Sun and the Star, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Well, I guess in terms of our book coverage, that's kind of recent.
Were you not a guest for any of our TV episodes?
I guested on 2 of the TV episodes. Notable Seaweed Brain fans will remember how I was trying to predict, because I heard rumors that there was a song that was going to play in the Tunnel of Love, and 15 seconds before that, I predicted,
That's true.
Oh, it's going to be What is Love? And then lo and behold, it was.
This was our Patreon live watch along, I believe. We were all sitting there, and we were actively talking about this as everyone was watching the episode for the first time. And Robert did successfully predict the song. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of
impressive.
the more nutso moments. It's wild that happened, and then a few weeks later, we were watching the documentary together, and we were like, oh, they're at Comic-Con, maybe we'll see us. And then 15 seconds later, Robert appeared on the screen.
It was great.
It's the branding. Undeniable. Yeah, Robert is an OG Kane Chronicles internet correspondent, if you will.
Yes, Robert, prior to rising to fame for being featured in the documentary A Hero's Journey on Disney Plus, Robert had multiple podcasts. One of those podcasts was Into the Riordan Verse. And Into the Riordan Verse, along with their co-host Hal, was covering Kane Chronicles long ago
In the forgotten ages. And now, I'm really glad that now Kane Chronicles has sort of gotten the boom again, because there's the story of how Disney is adapting whatever that currently means, Kane Chronicles. And we all love that because we're like, oh my god, the Rick Riordan cinematic universe, we're this close.
This theory is not confirmed, to be clear.
It probably means that they're taking meetings about the Kane Chronicles.
I think we can safely assume that people are in meetings, but that means literally nothing. Even if it was fully confirmed 100% and Rick posted in a blog post that he is taking meetings with Disney Plus, that still does not mean anything until there is a contract signed. And even if a contract is signed, any number of things can happen during the quote unquote development of a piece of TV before it gets to pre-production that can stall it or put it back into turnaround or anything. That being said, we are doing our due diligence as members of this fandom to flood the internet and the algorithms and the marketing powers that be with Kane Chronicles content, putting Kane Chronicles vibes into the zeitgeist until Disney Plus has no choice but to make things official.
Let us bully Disney Plus into adapting Kane Chronicles.
It's like bullying them, but it's also like creating an opportunity for them. They should be so lucky as the holders of the IP to have people spending time on the internet for free talking about IP that they own.
I just want to get like the CEOs and like put them in front of their graphs. I'm like, you see how your Percy Jackson show right here is your most viewed non-Marvel, non-Star Wars property you've ever released? What do you mean the first notable merch we got was Funko Pops? Where is my sword? Where is the camp beads? Where is like my Lego blackjack? Like where is it
Fortnite
all?
skin.
Where is my Lego Empire State Building that is just a Lego Empire State Building that has a tiny Pegasus on top of it?
Where is it all?
It will come.
Do you not realize the opportunities you have? No, they realize.
It'll come as long as foolhardy Zillennials such as we continue to do free labor for Disney. We will get to that Lego set.
If Disney knows how to do one thing, it is a branding tie-in.
When will they release the Percy Jackson themed vans? When, I ask you?
That's a good question. It'll come. We're here to talk about the Kane Chronicles today.
Woo! Yeah, so Robert, you obviously read the Kane Chronicles. You began covering the Kane Chronicles on your podcast. We are now 10 chapters into the Red Pyramid. Did you have any sort of unique experiences rereading the Red Pyramid for today?
Yeah, because the first time I ever read it was for my podcast back in the day, and rereading it, it didn't strike the same sort of like memory strings in my brain that I get when I'm listening to a chapter or two of Lightning Thief or one of the other Percy Jackson books. I'm like, oh yeah, this leads into that leads into that. I know how this plot goes. For the Kane Chronicles, I'm like, yeah, this happens, and then I think this next part happens. What happens next? And then I get interested again in reading it. Like I read more than the chapters I was supposed to.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I would say that the plot in this book is zooming and is thrilling, and we are being put in lots of brand new situations in which we do not know what is going to happen next, not only because we may not remember what goes on with the plot, but because it isn't as predictable as the Greek mythology books are, I would say. We're following a different formula. So where we last left off, we were in Carter's POV at the Met. Wow. We've been in the Met so much, haven't we, in the Riordanverse? I bet the like mythological aura coming off of the Met is just so bright that you could see it from space. We are fighting scorpions with everyone's favorite cool aunt Bast, who has just come to semi-human form out of the cat muffin. It is still Christmas Day, and if you were wondering why the Met is open on Christmas, apparently there's some kind of special event going on, and that's why the Met is open, and there's all kinds of civilians here that we need to get out of the way during our fight.
Okay, that's where we left off. We're coming into this chapter. This is a Sadie POV chapter, just to refresh everyone's memory, with a not metatextual exactly, but like a speaking into the audio recording device Sadie caveat about Zia, a character who is coming. Before we get into the actual narration of the events that are happening in the story, there's a disagreement between Sadie and Carter about this person. What am I trying to say about this? The world is full of Devil Wears Prada fans. This is a true statement. And
Carter, just go ahead and make the comparison.
I think it is an invaluable form of characterization to talk about somebody before they appear. More people should be doing this. Anyway, we're anticipating Zia. Zia's coming in this chapter. We don't know her yet. Or do we? We're running through the Met. Carter at this point is literally dragging Sadie away because she's so distraught at the thought of leaving Bast behind. I think this is an important, interesting textual detail in their relationship. I mean, like, we have like an older, younger sibling dynamic, but it's fascinating to see that kind of juxtaposed over Sadie's unique relationship to Bast as like the owner of the cat muffin for so many years. And I was like a little surprised to be reading this. I don't know how this struck everyone else, that Sadie was so unwilling to leave. Okay, something that really bothered me about this, they quickly get really lost in the Egyptian wing. Does this pass muster for you all? I feel like it's not that complicated.
Carter, maybe you're just really smart and have really strong directionality. I feel like I get lost in museums very frequently.
Okay.
You think it's not that big?
I think it's not that big, and specifically like the Egyptian wing of the Met, like it's all kind of leading to the big, gigantic room with the temple that they moved. It's also like one edge in the museum, you know?
I kind of think the only time that I've been in the Egyptian wing of the Met was at the premiere.
What? So you've never been to the temple?
No.
Oh my God. My mouth is agape right now.
Were you working or something when all the podcasters went to the Met?
Yes.
Yeah, that might be why. Because I'm like, but we went. I'm like, nope, Erica was working.
Yeah, I went with my friends, but we were stuck in the statue, the Perseus with the head of Medusa. Anyway, they get lost.
It's true. Part of why they're getting lost is because Carter obviously has been here several times before. Work trips with Dad. He knows all the Egyptology wings, but he's getting them all confused, blended together in his head. And this leads to an argument with Sadie that is delicious. Should we read?
Yeah. Carter, do you want to be Sadie or Carter?
I'll do Carter.
Okay, go for it.
Consistency. I think there's a rebuilt temple down that hall. Or is that in the Brooklyn Museum? Maybe the one in Munich? Sorry, I've been to so many museums with Dad that they all get mixed together.
I sighed in exasperation. Poor boy, forced to travel the world, skip school, and spend time with Dad while I get a whole 2 days a year with him.
Hey! Carter turned on me with surprising force. You get a home. You get friends and a normal life and don't wake up each morning wondering what country you're in. You don't...
The glass case next to us shattered, spraying glass at our feet. I feel like I sound like a crocodile hunter.
Carter looked at me, bewildered. Did we just...
Like my exploding birthday cake, I grumbled, trying not to let on how startled I was. You need to control your temper. I think we have to do it again.
Do we? I think we got it.
I'll get better. I swear to God, I'm an actor.
This is not reflective.
Anyway, Carter thinks they're dumb for getting lost in the Egyptian wing. It's okay, you can say it, Carter.
Yeah, I do.
They're 12 and 14.
They're children, but also you should have gotten a floor guide when you're reading in. All the galleries are literally numbered, but we are somehow lost in the Egyptian wing.
Is this a classic Carter fake nerd moment? Because the second that they popped into the Met, he didn't grab a map.
That is weird, isn't it? I think it's maybe that he's used to a certain sibling relationship, but also like whenever he would go to these places, like he wouldn't be walking in the front. He'd be walking behind his father, who'd already know where everything is, right? Like he, I guess, would never be in a situation in his life personally where he would be grabbing the map or he would be directing people actually within the space as to where we're going to turn next.
Right. He's a follower. And then we get the introduction of Zia. Robert, do you want to read Zia's description?
Sure. She looked a bit taller than me, probably older too, but not by much. Her black hair was trimmed along her jawline and longer in the front so that it swept over her eyes. She had caramel-colored skin and pretty, vaguely Arab features. Her eyes, lined in black coal, Egyptian style, were a strange amber color that was either quite beautiful or a bit scary. I couldn't decide which. She had a backpack on her shoulder and wore sandals and loose-fitting linen clothing like ours. She looked as if she were on her way to our martial arts class.
Yeah, I'm not sure what vaguely Arab means. But
I don't know if Sadie knows what it means either. Sadie is basically trying to say, I think she is like ethnically Arab, but I'm not sure.
Positive. Yes. Mm-hmm. She looked as if she were on her way to a martial arts class. Is so sickening. I mean, she's got like her staff, you know, like she's ready to go. It's giving ponytail.
She's a slayer. She is. I don't wait. Is it a ponytail? No.
It's a bob.
Not a ponytail. It's a bob. It's a bob with a bang. Sickening.
And like a long bang swept over her eyes. So it's like getting into her. Yeah.
A long
she's
bang
cool.
that's like almost impractical for doing physical activity, but you know, she can do it anyway. Like she's somebody who has like the proper control of her neck to manage having bangs and still moving.
And being completely unable to tell whether her eyes are scary or pretty. Wow.
That is queen behavior.
Immediate, who is called to mind? Immediately. Zoe Nightshade.
Immediately we're thinking
Raina,
of Zoe Nightshade.
All of the coolest girls of the Riordanverse.
It's specifically cool girl. It's somebody who is aloof.
Who knows more than you.
Who knows more than you. Who you're not sure if she's scary or beautiful, which is the literal line out of this. That's, juicy, perfect. We are recording this, of course, in the Brat Summer. For those of you who are coming to us from a different point in time. We are shortly after the release of the 360 music video that begins with a 30-second long conversation of what it means to be an internet cool girl, internet hot girl, somebody who is frightening, somebody who has a je ne sais quoi.
That's her. It's so her. And unfortunately, it's also what Sadie wants to be, you know? And I do think that that's why she is so scared of, threatened by, insecure about Zia. I think that the way that we are going to come to understand Sadie and Zia's relationship really could be mapped onto the song Girl, So Confusing, the version with Lorde, in which Lorde and Charlie work it out on the remix.
Yeah.
I really hope everyone is following us on this. I think they will be. I trust our listeners.
These are girls who are going to have to work it out in the remix.
Yes.
Yeah. It's true. You'd be surprised. I was recently at a drag show where, it was the day after that remix dropped. I heard, the first two, distorted, warbly things, and I was there. I was ready. No one was standing. This is a gay club in San Francisco on a Saturday night at, 12:30 a.m.
That seems like peak.
You're better than them, listeners. You know. You know.
Yeah, Robert, you know what we're talking about, right?
Vaguely, kind of.
No.
Who do you think is who? Who is the girl who likes to write poems, and who's the girl who likes to throw parties?
But also the girl who likes to write poems is the one who was told when she was 10 that she walks like a bitch.
It's true. Yeah. I think that Zia is the girl who likes to write poems and also who was told she walks like a bitch at age 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all in
It
her
works.
head until she's building a weapon.
Yes.
And Sadie right now is believing her projection.
Yes. I would have to agree. Sadie is saying, I don't know what you're feeling. I feel like you want to see me falling over and falling. I think I know what you're feeling. And she's British.
Oh, yes. Because inside
Literally
of
British.
Sadie is still that young girl from Essex. Okay, we did it.
But not from Essex. But yeah.
Not from Essex.
We got there.
From the east side of the Thames. I'm really sorry, Robert. You have absolutely no idea what we're talking about.
Not particularly.
These were just all
know.
individual lyrics from this remix.
I'll ask my partner who knows more about music and stuff than I do. And I'll get schooled for it.
Anyway, I'm really excited about this relationship. It's very messy to read.
It's kind of hard to read, but I think it's possible to read this and be like, oh, she's 12. Like, of course, this is the journey that she's on. So it doesn't feel that bad, but it's sad. It's a little awkward to be like, okay, this is the step in her journey, and it's not the fun step. It's not the final destination. But
and I mean messy to read, not like the writing is messy. I mean messy like the emotions are messy, and I know I get it. I was a 12-year-old girl.
And Sadie doesn't totally get it. She has not processed her feelings about Zia. Even at the time, I think that she's recording this. Like, both at the time that she's recording and in the moment that she is first meeting her, it's confusing. A lot of things are wrapped up together. Jealousy, fear, confusion, pride.
Mm-hmm. We were just talking about like her inherent emotional maturity and the way that she thinks about her relationship with her dad and all of this stuff and all of these things that she's capable of holding at once. And here's a great reminder that she's still just a 12-year-old girl and she has a lot of emotional maturing to do.
And there are like different types of relationships that people are like socialized to be prepared for and to understand. And this is like, I think, not one that people have a lot of context for and a lot of good examples to like sort of slot yourself into when thinking about what's going on and how you should feel about what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, girl. It's so confusing sometimes.
Yeah. Anyway, so what literally happens in this interaction? I think it is interesting that like when Zia gets there, the first thing she does is basically like freeze Carter and then interrogate Sadie with magic. Especially because like we've gotten some illusions that like Carter and Zia's relationship might not be a straight down the line, regular, no one has any particular feelings about it type of relationship. That's the context that we have going in, even though it's a little bit vague. It's interesting to see her going straight to Sadie and using this like magic interrogation technique where she like bubbles like revelations and confessions up out of Sadie with her wand. So fun. And already like clearly a level of magic, a kind of magic that we haven't really exactly seen. Like maybe Amos could do this, but he didn't. And it seems like something different is going on here.
Yes. It seems like she was trained by someone different maybe, or she's working for someone different maybe.
But does different mean better? I guess we'll find out.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. It's a little bit unclear.
There's so little that we know right now about the way that the magician like community works.
Mm-hmm.
We've only met Julius, Amos, and now Zia, and kind of that French guy who we're going to run back into.
And like kind of Bath, but she's also like she's not a member of the community.
She's a goddess.
It's different. She's not
a member of that community, but she is a member of the other community.
Yeah, for sure.
She doesn't go in that box, she goes in the other box.
Yes.
Zia, okay, not only is Zia doing like really cool magic tricks that we haven't seen before, she is also dropping lore left and right. She is cool, she's intimidating, and she's really smart. She knows things about the world, and we're going to have to learn from her. She talks about how portals can only open at auspicious moments, sunrise, sunset, midnight, eclipses, astrological alignments, the exact time of a god's birth. Sadie says, oh, come on. How can you possibly know all that? And she says, well, it takes years to memorize the complete calendar. But the next auspicious moment is easy. High noon, 10 and a half minutes from now. Boo-boo. So they're going to open a portal to get out of here, basically.
I love how Sadie also has a comment where she's like, I wonder how she knows what time it is down to like the half minute.
And it's never explained to us.
It's never explained. I don't know. Sometimes I'll think to myself while I'm working, I'm like, it feels like it's 3:16. And then I pull up my phone and it's 3:16. I'm like, holy crap. I'm a magician.
Yeah. That honestly, like it's part of the flex is the knowledge that she's memorized the calendar. She's clearly a hard worker, somebody who has it together. organized. But knowing what time it is, that's a mystery for the ages. That's just somebody who has something. It is the je ne sais quoi.
It's
How
that
does she know
same
it?
je ne sais quoi that makes her bangs work, is how she knows exactly what time it is.
It's the same je ne sais quoi that allows you to have a bob and bangs and do combat and move your head around and like
And
not be
see.
sweaty.
Yeah, that's the thing.
The
That she
bangs
is
are not sticking to her
She's
forehead.
doing combat, but she's not sweating enough that the bangs look bad. She is that girl.
That is really that girl. Do you think it's like hairspray? Do you think it's magic? Literally, probably it's magic.
It's whatever Hayley Williams' hairstylist puts into her bangs before she does a show.
Yeah,
That's what Zia
true.
has.
A lot of those K-pop girlies, I think it is so much hairspray, and then some people it's like literally like tape. Like some sort of transparent body tape goes on the forehead to hold the bangs there. So when they're doing like a back bend or something, you are not seeing forehead. There is no exposed forehead without prior planning.
There is no exposed forehead without prior planning.
And that's Zia's energy. Probably magic though.
Oh yeah, magic. They also continue to fight. This thing about the compass and like the cardinal directions thing is so funny.
This gagged me. This is
Over
It's
there's
so funny.
north. Figure out the rest.
Sadie's like,
That
I know where
was
north is.
But it's specifically because like the beginning of the exchange is Sadie being like, "What do you want me to do? You said put this in cardinal directions. What? Say more." And Zia's explanation is she says north, south, east,
West.
Like, do you not understand what north is? Is where she goes to it.
And she
It's
said it like
so-
slowly and condescendingly.
And that's exactly what you could hear coming out of the mouth of Zoe or Raina, our favorite girls.
Okay, I don't think Raina would do it. I think Zoe would. I think there's something about
Yeah, no, you're
like,
right.
aloofness and the like. I think Raina's too pragmatic to do some of these types of things.
She wouldn't waste
Like
time.
Raina
with the
understands interpersonal like.
Right, because she's a leader.
She's a leader. She's a pragmatist.
Raina's also like more modern. Zoe will have definitely had to learn at some point how to navigate using the stars and cardinal directions. So if Percy was like, wait, what? She would absolutely sit down and be like, north, south. And Percy would be like, I know what cardinal directions are.
Okay, let's take a quick ad break here, and then we will get back and resume with the action. We're trying to make a portal so that we can escape out of the Met.
Which Zia is doing. Zia's just doing that for us. Wand ready, says the word, bam. That's ready to go. But we have to wait because the auspicious number, so we're setting up these other defenses. Carter's like obediently drawing a chalk circle in the ground. That's why Sadie's getting condescended to about the cardinal directions, because she has to put her little figures on the cardinal direction points so that we have this magical protection that is going to end up like burning up scorpions alive when they try to attack.
Because turns out in this world, we are not really living in fear of the gods as much as we are training ourselves to fight the gods. Or rather, we are not fighting the monsters, we are fighting the gods. Or at least Zia's brand of magicianship is fighting the gods, which is sick. She says to end this chapter to Sadie, I am a scribe in the house of life, Sadie Kane. I am trained to fight gods. Gagged.
Wow. Epic. Gagged. It's true. I think that brings us to chapter 12, a jump through the hourglass. This chapter is basically a fight between Serket, the serpent goddess, and Zia.
Yeah, well, Carter and Sadie just kind of stand off to the side and they're like, what?
We're just here.
Yes.
We don't know what to do.
Wait, they're standing inside of the chalk circle of protection.
Yes.
It's like that episode of SpongeBob.
I was about to say, you have to draw a circle. You drew an oval.
And the special bear repellent underwear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
What did I do that time? I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't like you.
I'm so glad that Robert is here to understand the SpongeBob references. Anyway, they're trapped inside of the bear repellent circle while Zia is fighting Serket. And Sadie is having this weird experience where she's like, something inside of me like wants to help fight. Like I just kind of want to jump into combat. She can't tell where that's coming from. And then she like predicts Zia's next move in the fight. She's like, she's going to do the ribbons thing. And then Zia does the ribbons thing. So that's really weird.
But also Sadie's like, it's not going to work.
Yes.
And then it seems like it's working, but then it stops.
Yeah, Carter, do you want to do a side tangent about the ribbons here as they relate to the Egyptian pantheon?
I don't know that much about I haven't heard anything about the ribbons specifically. The ribbons are of Hathor. That's what she says as she throws them out. Hathor is a cow goddess in Egyptian mythology who is closely associated with Ra. And she has different, how would I put this? There are different versions of Hathor that are told in different versions of Egyptian mythology where she's associated with different other deities The version that I'm most familiar with associates Hathor with Sekhmet, the lion-headed, or rather lioness-headed female lieutenant of Ra, this like bloodthirsty battle goddess. Like the idea, I think in a lot of retellings, is that Sekhmet and Hathor are two versions of the same deity, where Sekhmet is like the bloodthirsty, violent, warmongering version, and Hathor is the like calm, fertility, peace, Earth Mother version of the goddess. That they're like two aspects, and that like after the battle is done, she'll like become Hathor. And we may or may not be seeing some version of that later on in this book, or in one of the other books. I literally can't remember, but I do believe we meet Hathor at some point. But that's her.
Maybe. I think
that context is not strictly necessary to understanding the scene, but it's fun. It's a reference.
They had a red ribbon that was used to bind the forces of evil and dark demons.
I love ribbon-based magic. Don't you?
Yeah, it's giving Cardcaptor Sakura, right?
It's magical girl. That's very what it is. Yeah. It's a little more Sailor Moon, I think, than Cardcaptor Sakura.
Yeah, that's what I was also thinking.
But
the power of girlhood.
Woo!
It's true.
Unfortunately, the power of girlhood does not work in this instance because Serket, it kind of instantly breaks out. It doesn't bind her.
And I feel like I'm getting the vibe from this that maybe something is wrong about death. Like maybe death is broken in some way, or it is not permanently binding. As Serket vanishes, she says, "Your death will last forever. You have made an enemy of Set."
But then she kind of unvanishes.
Yeah. It sounds like sometimes death doesn't last forever, but also in this instance, something is particularly allowing people to not die. We're gonna get more details on that.
Yeah. And Zia is really confused. That's like notable about this, is that she generally throughout this process, calm, cool, collected, knowledgeable, on top of everything, unflappable. But this is the one moment where she doesn't really understand what's going on.
I will also say, as someone who has not finished even the Red Pyramid yet, rereading, I don't know exactly what is happening in the world at this moment, but if it is that something is going on where death is impermanent, a la what is going on in the Heroes of Olympus series, circa the same time within the Riordan verse, I think it's really interesting that all of the different pantheons would be experiencing something similar at the same time. Carter, are you following me on this?
Oh my God. I think you maybe canonical time. Yes. I think that, canonical time is really complicated because Percy is always like kind of literary present,
but
right?
Assuming that, these books were coming out at the same time as Heroes of Olympus, it's like vaguely.
If we're assuming that the timelines roughly link up, then this would be like, and we're assuming then that this is the Christmas immediately following
Percy has disappeared.
Battle of Manhattan.
Yes.
Percy is currently disappeared.
Annabeth
Gaia's forces are around. Then at that point, the doors of death already would be open. Like Medea is already back out in the world.
I just realized it's weird to think about the fact that this book takes place like after Jason, Piper, and Leo complete their first quest.
Wait, is it after? It's like roughly the same time because that's also a winter quest, right?
This is Christmas Day. They needed to complete their first quest on the winter solstice, which was the 21st.
Right. So it's immediately after, but this book came out right before.
Yeah.
Right?
It's also it goes way back to one of the conversations Percy Grover and Annabeth had in The Lightning Thief when they're in the underworld and they're like, "Hey, that Catholic priest who like died in a fiery car crash.
Yeah.
What does he see when he's here?" And it's like, oh, he sees whatever he wants to see. So there's some sort of built-in. Yes, if you follow the Greek and Roman stuff, you're going to see the Greek underworld. If you follow the Egyptian stuff, you're going to see the Egyptian afterlife, the Duat.
Yes.
If you follow the Norse stuff, you're going to see Valhalla. I guess the more direct comparison would be Hell.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. I'm also thinking of how when the Battle of Manhattan was going on, Camp Jupiter said that they were waging their own war with the Titans on Mount Othrys, right?
Yes.
Orthius.
Orthopedic surgery?
On Mount Tam.
On Mount Tam in Marin County. Yeah.
Yes. So I think it's really cool, the idea that parallel things are happening in every Pantheon story, and everyone just has a different way of explaining it or perceiving it or experiencing it based on their cultural touchstones, which is how mythology works in real life.
Yeah. Perception-based manipulation is the best. It's giving very mist magic, but also applied to everything.
Yeah. Very cool. Exciting. I think we should do like a chronological, I know people have tried to do this, but I do want to see the chronological timeline.
Trying to see like how the different crises map into the crises that the other Riordan verse characters are experiencing.
Exactly.
like what happens during almost Ragnarok
Yes.
for everybody else.
Yeah.
Which is funny because like Percy and Annabeth at that point, when Ragnarok almost happens, are aware, hey, Norse gods are real. Hey, Magnus is trying to stop Ragnarok. What would Ragnarok had been for them? How would that have impacted the Greek and Roman gods and that culture? How would it have impacted Sadie and Carter?
The only people we can really trust to help us map all of this out is the underground ring of weapons, because they're definitely all in communication across Pantheon.
True. Yeah, that's cross-cultural. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Or the Multiverse of Madness book that comes out.
The Multiverse of Madness book that comes out. Yeah, and then they can all, it's going to be like a round table, or like it'll be Magnus.
Yeah,
and
we need THR awards contenders, but for the weapons.
Yeah, or it's like we get all of the demigods and they're sitting down at Himbo Juice, right? The smoothie place. They're sitting around a booth and Magnus is like, wait, so what was going on in the Egyptian pantheon while Ragnarok was happening? And Sadie's like, that's so weird. This is blah, blah, blah. You know, and they're like comparing notes.
Sadie literally, the more that I think about it, the more she is
Meg.
Charlie XCX.
Oh. She's British.
She's British. She's biracial. She's a brat. You know.
So true.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, Circuit's host was like a sad, poor old lady who is now probably dead. Although Circuit is already reforming right before our eyes. And then we are going to go to the next chapter. Chapter 13.
Yes. It's Carter's POV again.
I faced the killer turkey.
Just to clarify, we did that thing with Circuit, but then as it wasn't working, we had to jump through the portal. Right. That was the whole reason why we did all of this. There was a portal. We had to wait for it to open at the auspicious hour of noon. We jumped through it. So we are now at the beginning of chapter 13 on the other side of the portal, which we realize is the Cairo airport.
Yeah. They traveled. They went from the Met to Cairo. Like, dang.
Never have we really experienced this kind of ease of international travel. If you don't think about Magnus jumping between realms, as opposed to Percy Jackson, the first series, it's like all of a sudden it's so easy to get places.
It's just really fun. The closest we'll get in like the Percy Jackson books would have been the Labyrinth, but even then that's still traversal and messes with time and space. I guess the quickest Percy has ever gotten from point A to point B was when Zeus volleyball smacked the Argo 2 back to New York.
Yeah.
That was wild. I had to take a second when you said that. That really did happen.
He spiked it.
Yeah.
Literature.
Yeah, this seems much more efficient. Even though this will probably supposedly make all of them tired and hungry, this does seem more efficient than shadow travel.
You just, finish traveling, you exit the airport, you will leave tired and hungry. It's just the experience.
It also doesn't seem like it's necessarily all... How would I put this? Like, I think the lore works without this being necessarily as exertion heavy because the Egyptian society that we're dealing with here is explicitly international. Like, this is an important need for them that they had to fill, whereas the Percy Jackson books are very
American.
America core
Very
specifically.
American.
Yeah, this is an international secret society.
Yeah.
But also there's this whole thing about how like we get some additional lore about how the objects basically overheat and they have to have cool off times. So it's a magic system where like Zia doesn't seem exhausted after she's done this, but also like we know that it's not an infinite loop. It's not an endlessly expendable resource. Like you can't keep like jumping. Like you couldn't have a fight where you're just like bam, 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 disappearing from opponents. Because once they arrive in Cairo, they can't just jump somewhere else.
Right. The artifact needs a 12-hour cooldown period.
Yes. So we're at the Cairo airport, and the like important lore that we're getting here is that the Cairo airport and a lot of the city of Cairo generally is built over the ruins of Heliopolis, which is like an old Egyptian city. Oh, I was going to Google the lore on this previously. I think I'm trying to remember which one this was. Old Middle Kingdom. Okay.
13th Gnome.
Yes, this is number 13, the one in Cairo. This is, I forget if they say if it's like the original one or if it's the most powerful one, but it would make sense since, Cairo.
Yeah, okay. It was like a large, important city.
And it was important in a theological sense more so than a political sense.
Yes, that's true. Because this wasn't necessarily where the seat of power was for most of Egyptian history. And it wasn't, I don't believe, like the most populated city either. Like Cairo, modern geographers will tell you that Cairo is like not a fantastically, it is not like a city that is there by the confluence of lots of beautiful geographic factors, the way that like New York is like a city that is there because it is like geographically ordained to be a great place to build a city. Mm-hmm. Cairo kind of is not. And there are like other cities in Egypt that are like a little bit better suited based on like flooding patterns because the Nile would like famously flood every year. Are you following this thing of how they're trying to build New Cairo that's like a little bit further from the Nile? And it's going to be like really expensive. And it's very controversial because it seems like the minimum housing price is going to be really high in this new city. And they're using a lot of like public funds to build it because also they're like current Cairo is like falling apart and like maybe going to be like subsumed into the Nile as sea levels rise and weather patterns get more. Anyway, it's wild. Everyone should, cool stuff. Anyway, we're going down to Heliopolis. It's not just that Heliopolis has ruins under here, it's that there are active parts of Heliopolis that are still being maintained by the House of Life that we can access underneath the airport.
An international secret society needs an underground headquarters. It is
For sure.
mandatory. There's some really great descriptors throughout this entire next 2 chapters as we're like entering into the underground headquarters.
Crawling through tunnels. Yeah, the works.
I kind of want to read this. As we're like crawling through to get into the headquarters, Carter and Sadie are going to be tested. Quote, a single wooden plank spanned the void. On the opposite ledge, 2 jackal-headed granite warriors flanked a doorway. Their spears crossed over the entrance. Sadie sighed. Please, no more psychotic statues. Do not joke, Sia warned. This is an entrance to the first gnome, the oldest branch of the House of Life, headquarters for all magicians. My job was to bring you here, safely, but I cannot help you cross. Each magician must unbar the path for herself, and the challenge is different for each supplicant. She looked at Sadie expectantly, which annoyed me. First Bast, now Zia. Both of them treated Sadie like she should have some kind of superpowers. I mean, okay, so she'd been able to blast the library doors apart, but why didn't anyone look at me to do cool tricks?
Maybe do some cool tricks, Carter. How about that?
Damn. Read his ass.
Robert, were you not buying this? Were you like, Carter, you're lame?
I feel like Carter's lame in general. I know like it's the more mature and grown up interpretation to be like, no, Carter is also interesting and has his own little quirks and he's also funny and nice and whatever. But like, I love sassy British 12-year-old. Sue me.
Okay, fair.
That's fair.
The thing I really am enjoying about the alternating dual POV is that there's a lot that Carter and Sadie say to one another, and there's a lot that they do not say to one another. So we get to find out in the next set of chapters, after every conversation, we get to find out in the next set of chapters what Sadie or Carter said that really affected the other one that they aren't willing to say out loud. But we get to hear it in their internal monologue. And now we get to find out that something Sadie said a couple chapters ago really bothered Carter. Because he says, plus I was still annoyed with Sadie for the comments she'd made at the museum in New York. How I had it so good traveling the world with Dad. She had no idea how often I wanted to complain about the constant traveling. How many days I wished I didn't have to get on a plane and could just be a normal kid going to school and making friends. But I couldn't complain. You always have to look impeccable, Dad had told me. And he didn't just mean my clothes. He meant my attitude. With Mom gone, I was all he had. Dad needed me to be strong. Most days I didn't mind. I loved my dad, but it was also hard. Sadie didn't understand that. She had it easy. And now she seemed to be getting all the attention as if she were the special one. It wasn't fair. Then I heard Dad's voice in my head. Fairness means everyone gets what they need. And the only way to get what you need is to make it happen yourself. And this motivates Carter to go and be the first supplicant.
Yeah, he crosses that plank. He swats knives away.
I thought this was very telling.
Yeah, I would say simultaneously surprisingly emotionally mature and surprisingly emotionally immature.
Older sibling representative. Would you say this is an older sibling experience to feel as though your younger sibling is getting all of the attention and being treated as a special one?
I think the older sibling experience kernel that is here is the idea that you are undergoing an experience that involves more labor and that that's not fair and that the childishness and the need to be like specifically like coddled and cared for and like walked through things slowly because of childhood is not being sufficiently or at a minimum not being equally respected, which I think is like this is a really like good extreme like stylized version of this story where like Carter is literally like traveling the world as an assistant basically to his father while Sadie is ultra coddled. Like Sadie is living a effectively higher income lifestyle. Sadie doesn't have to do difficult things, but alternatively she doesn't get to do the difficult things. And yeah, I think there's something very beautiful and like especially I like this is something that I would maybe associate with like a slightly younger age for the two of them to be like having this type of conflict, but they I guess haven't been with each other this whole time, so this is the time that it would naturally arise. Yeah.
Thank you, oldest sibling representative. Now, Robert, would you agree that you are more special than your older sibling? And also the main character?
Absolutely, 100%.
Sadie sympathizers. Okay. Carter is super cool, has some like super cool, frankly, this is a ninja move moment. He's
Surprise
like
sword skills. Yeah.
grabbing the daggers and everything. And then there is a 5-foot tall bird with the head of a man who appears and says some stuff in a language that we don't understand. Carter realizes this is the same bird that was appearing in his dream. It smiles at him as though they're like sharing an inside joke, which is a beautiful description. And we find out that this is a ba, or a human soul spirit of the dead, basically a magician who has come back to serve as a guardian.
And whoever he is, he's really digging Carter's vibe.
Yeah. Because Sadie is like, that guy must have some bad eyesight. She understands what he says. And Carter's like, why? You understood it? She nodded uneasily. He mistook you for someone else. He must have bad eyesight. Because, he said, go forth, good king. This gave me goosebumps. This activated my imagination, my suspension of disbelief, my entering into the world. I'm so excited.
I kind of wasn't gagging, but I'm glad you had a good time.
That's because, yeah, it's not about the lineage thing so much as it's about you are destined for greatness in a way that you don't understand yet.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mostly was just like, I don't think that's a phrase.
What would you have
Because there's like
rather the
multiple
bird
line
said?
breaks afterwards, and I was like, should like, I don't know. I was like, the gravity of the literal language being used isn't rocking me right now, because
were
I
too
don't
many
recognize
line
that as
breaks.
a phrase.
Too many
Well,
line
there's, like, a
breaks
lot
for
of
your
line
level
breaks.
of gag.
Like, the line breaks are the textual version of like Britney Spears turning around at the top of the staircase and like smiling over one shoulder. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I ate that. And I was like,
That's exactly what the ba thought when he said that. He said, I
the
just
bot
ate that
did
like
think, oh,
Britney
I ate
Spears.
that.
Little smirk.
I was Britney Spears debuting Gimme More at the BMAs. Yeah.
Robert, what did you think about that line?
The go forth, good king.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's maybe potentially foreshadowing or character building, whatever it is. But like, go forth, good king. What if it's like that?
Oh, you think it's more like, go forth, good king.
Go forth, good king.
Go
Slay.
Good king.
No, there's clearly something that this boss sees in Carter that no one else does. And I think I mean that both literally and metaphorically, that there are aspects of Carter that maybe not even Carter himself sees, because he's also confused as to why this boss like calling him a king and like letting him go forward.
All right, for that. Okay. Hidden potential. Sure.
Now we come to what I believe to be the most unhinged part of this book so far. We already know, based on Sadie's bickering with Carter on the voice recording and Carter's response, that maybe it looks from the outside perspective that Carter has an immediate crush on Zia, that he's very fascinated by her at the very least, and very impressed by her amazing powers and skills and knowledge. But he's like, no, of course I'm not. Like, that's so weird. I'm just like, we're fighting. There's magic going on. Of course I'm in awe.
She's like literally impressive. It's fine.
Yeah,
like that's
it's
regular.
fine.
Yeah.
It's regular. But you know what's not regular is that he starts describing the scent of underground Heliopolis. And he's like, it smells like these spices and it's like this amazing, beautiful place. And then he says, quote, the city smelled like Zia. I realized that this was her home.
Yeah, that's unhinged.
That's very 14 years old. I feel like I know this line helped me to really understand him in a lot of ways. Like, I think I know exactly what kind of person he is based on this comment.
The person who smells girls.
I think what I'm getting from this is like observant and like a simp. You know, like, no, okay, that's not maybe the exact word I want to use. There's some, I think, connotations about gender politics that I don't want to lean into about that, but I think there's a kind of boy at that age who is like, the most attractive thing in a woman is that she's better than me. Do you know? And like, I am here to like soak up her like excellence and and her power. I'm here to observe. I'm here to like just be like, wow, what a like cool, smart person who like won't notice me. I think that's him. Is this not, I mean, it's unhinged, but do you not also feel like in middle school, like when you were that age, when you were 13, 14, wouldn't you be like, oh yeah, I know the smell of this person who I'm like into? I could like describe it.
Totally.
Yeah. Instant noodles and like peanut oil.
Oh my gosh.
Axe body spray.
Oop.
Instead of simp, should we use the term Sadie uses, which is lovesick puppy?
Lovesick puppy. Lovesick
puppy is ungendered.
It's ungendered, but it's very accurate. And I think in this the term is ungendered, but the experience that there's a specific gendered, I would say, subcategory of that Carter is very neatly slotting into in this moment.
Robert, did you want to say something?
No, I wanted to look up the etymology of the word simp to be like, this probably predates how we use the word now.
For sure. And I feel like I don't know people who use it in different ways, but I understand from the internet that it has a negative connotation for some people. And that's not what I'm trying to lean into.
No, absolutely not.
In this description.
Oh, a simpleton.
Yeah, that's the thing. The etymology, I'm like, oh, this is a recent thing, right? Technically, no. It was like a shortening of the word simpleton from like the late 1900s. Or 1800s, I mean, sorry.
I'm also a big fan of down bad. I think down bad is timeless as well as genderless.
Yeah.
If you're identifying smells as smelling like the one you love, then you are down bad.
Yeah. All right. The city smells like her. It's like small. I think there's some sense that the city is lively and cool, but also kind of under capacity and has seen better days, partially because it used to be above ground and now it's completely underground. But there's stuff going on. There's like quote unquote open air markets, even though we're all underground, so not really. But there's stalls and there's like people here. They're younglings. Is this the part? I think this is the part where we walk past the younglings, and we're kind of like, this is cool, but also like, is that all of them for the whole gnome? And Zia's like, that's all of them for the planet. That's like that's it globally. We've seen better days. And
it's also odd that you're supposed to start training as a magician when you're 10, except for in very specific and very dangerous circumstances, like these guys.
It's giving Jedi.
I was about to say, all I'm thinking now is like, nobody show Anakin Skywalker this room full of young magicians.
Oh my. Ooh, I wasn't talking about the murders.
I mean,
but,
yes, but also the second somebody points out younglings in Star Wars The Jedi, that's maybe the scene most people think of, or the idea most people think of.
Are you watching The Acolyte, Robert?
I am not, but I will.
Oh yeah, there's some really awesome Riordan melding of the fantastical world into the real world here, where we talk about like how, archaeologists supposedly have only discovered 30% of actual Egyptian, what's the word I'm looking for?
Like underground
artifacts?
Relics.
Yeah.
Like they're like passageways, like underground.
Ruins, I guess. Zia says they've actually only discovered 1/10. And not even the interesting 10th.
Not even the interesting 10th. Wow.
I love that. If you tell me something is underground that no one knows about, it's going to activate the tingly sense in my spine every single time. I will think of Jordan Peele's Us every single time. And Carter is a little bit offended by that because he's like, wait, but what about King Tut's tomb? That was cool, right? And Zia's like, that's not even an interesting tomb. Carter is in his internal monologue tells us why that kind of like hurts him a little, because he was named after Howard Carter, the guy who discovered King Tut's tomb.
But also, like, his dad knows. Like, it's not like his dad doesn't know that there are more interesting tombs, but he's taking it pretty hard. Yeah.
It's also giving, I mean, here, we know he's a nerd because he's an archaeologist, but like, hey, Julie Kane, nerd, naming your kid after the guy who discovered King Tut's tomb.
He needs to just lie and say he was named after Beyonce.
There's so many great Carters to choose from.
Yeah.
And then they enter the Hall of Ages. And I think that's where we're going to stop for today, for time. Even though there's so many cool descriptions of the Hall of Ages. But we'll get there. We'll get there next time.
I think 3 chapters per recording is maybe, like, it's a little bit weird because we're cutting off in the middle of a Carter POV, but I think this might make sense because we're still getting both of their POVs in every episode.
Yeah, that might actually work out. Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll figure it out by the time we finish Red Pyramid. Robert, if you had to pitch to people why they should read the Kane Chronicles, what would you say?
The Kane Chronicles, I think, explores a new kind of relationship, siblings, and what they would do for each other in this wacky, crazy world based in Egyptian mythology that they're thrown into. It's very sweet. It's very action-packed. It's adventurous. It's sort of also kind of like a mystery, at least for this first book. So, hey, if you're paying attention to the clues, you might figure out what the big twist is or the big mystery is, which also, I think, adds to the reading experience.
Absolutely. Yeah, not only are we in an international secret community, we're focusing more on artifacts, we're fighting the gods, but also it is a mystery.
Yeah.
That kind of goes along with the whole international spy vibe.
Yeah.
As though Robert isn't more famous than anyone here on this call, will you please tell the people where they can find you?
I'm not the one on tour. What are you talking about?
I'm not the one on Disney Plus.
My name is Robert. I run a thing called the Damn Meme Page, damn spelled DAM. It is on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. It's also going to be something else in the relative future. I was originally going to launch it in June, but turns out launching things costs money and costs time and effort. So, hey, once things are more solid, I'll announce it again.
Yay!
And then the only podcast I really do these days is The Bits, which is a Steven Universe rewatch podcast with my friend Charlie, who also hosts a Percy Jackson podcast. That goes up every Friday. Heavy spoilers. So, hey, if you don't want to get the big twist of Steven Universe spoiled in the first episode, watch and then listen along.
The Bits is the perfect name for a Steven Universe rewatch podcast.
Carter, you need to be a guest. We'll network. All right. Bye.
Bye, y'all.